continuation of our lunch and learn sessions. We've had some really interesting ones this academic year, and I'm sure this one is going to live up to expectations. So we're delighted to have with us Zarah Henry. Obviously, as you can see, a very young founder, but actually with a lot of experience, because she started her online bakery, Heaven's Delights, aged 11 back in 2020. So obviously has a lot of experience and can share a lot of lessons learned with us in this session. So Zarah, I think you're going to be at much better position to introduce yourself and obviously the business as well. So I'll hand over to you, and if you just let me know when you want to move the slides on.
All right, that's perfect. So hi everyone. As Carolyn said, my name is Zarah Henry, and I'm really pleased to be speaking to you all today about my entrepreneur journey. And I've decided to title this PowerPoint from Classroom to Boardroom, as I'm still a student myself. I'm actually studying my A-levels. And it's just kind of this idea, what I've come to speak to you guys about is that you don't really have to choose between academics and entrepreneurship, that you can have best of both worlds and still pursue all your goals and dreams. So if you go to the next slide, please.
Of course.
Okay, so this is just a little bit about myself. So I am the founder and CEO of Heaven's Delights. I am studying A-level biology, chemistry, philosophy, ethics, and religious studies, and I also do EPQ. I've had the pleasure of winning many awards. My first award I received in 2022, which I'll go on to speak about that later. I'm actually head girl, I've got my lanyard on. I'm head girl at my sixth form, and I attend the biggest girls' school in Europe, which is where I started in year 7, and I've now continued to stay to finish my A-levels. And I'm really passionate about inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs. It's something that in everything that I try to do, I always try to encourage those my age, those who are older, and those who are younger, that you can really pursue your dreams, and that age is just a number. And I am a lover of travel and new cultures. I'm always on holiday. You have your year 11 summer, so I did East Coast in America, so I did all of the states on the East Coast of America. I also went to Jamaica, and at the beginning of the year I went to Tunisia, so I had a lot of fun. Some of these pictures are from those holidays, so just a little bit about me. On to the next slide. So this is what I've come really to speak to you guys about today, about Heaven's Delights. Not so much about me, but about my business and about what we do. So we offer bespoke baked goods for birthdays, weddings, baby showers, corporate events, corporate brand activations. It's something that we've been doing now for the past 6 years. And I've had the pleasure of working with some of the companies that you see below, such as Currys, Siemens, BBC West Midlands, Borg Automotive, Rafa, B Radio, JN, Church of God of Prophecy, Talk of the Town, which is a restaurant. That was actually a collaboration where we had our baked goods in the restaurant, and the NHS. It's something that as I've already said, I've had the pleasure of doing. One of the main things with Heaven's Delights, which sets us apart, is that we truly try to align to what the vision of the brand is. So things like, we've worked with some brands where they're like, we only want like organic products, and we then can cater to ensure that our ingredients are only organic, or color schemes and stuff like that. We try to align with the vision and the goal of the brands that we're working with, or for the birthday parties that we're at, or the weddings. Then there's 2 arms to Heaven's Delights. We have the business side, and then we also do have the social arm, which is the Cupcake Brunch. This is our community event, which we run every September. I first started doing this in 2023. Essentially, it's an event where you have mini cupcakes, live entertainment. We have some business stores, which, as I said before, I'm all about empowering the next generation of young entrepreneurs. So last year we had 5 different business stores, and all these people were under the age of 30, and they were able to have that platform of over 250 people to be able to sell their baked products. And that all happened in the heart of Birmingham. And it really is a community focused event. Below you can see some of the images from the cupcake brunch last year. As I said, we did have 250 people, and it's an event that's just continued to grow. When we first started in 2023, we started with around 96 people attending the brunch, and just in a space of from 2023 to 2025, we were able to welcome just under 300 people, which is absolutely incredible. And we've already signed the contract for the Cupcake Brunch 2026, which will be taking place the 12th of September. And it will be taking place at the East Side Rooms, which is at the heart of Birmingham, and I know is not very far from Aston University. So if please put the date in your diary, and we would love to welcome you with open arms. When we have these events, it was hosted by Phil Aldershaw, who is one of the hosts on B Radio, and he also hosted all 12 days of the Commonwealth Games. And our headline act this year was Janelle Antonisha. She was on The Voice UK in both 2020, 2018 and 2021. And each year we have a chosen charity. Being a young person myself, I think it's really important that we help one another and that we continue to build opportunities for each other. So the charity this year was the 21 Up movement. They're based in London, and they help with tackling knife crime, which we know is a really big issue with young people, and ensuring that essentially young people have a platform other than picking up a knife to express their emotions and how they feel about certain issues that they are going through on a daily basis. So yeah, it is a really, really good event. Of course, we do get sponsorship for this event, and we're grateful to our sponsors who continue to help us and support this event. But it's a really good cause. And as I said, 12th of September, please save it in your diary, and we hope to see you in September. Next slide, please. So I'm also here to speak about some of our accomplishments that we've had. And here is just a bit of my entrepreneurial journey, just to show you guys that the stars are truly, when you reach for them, they're there for you. So I won my first award in 2022, and this was from the Roy Anthony Reid Foundation. This was a citizenship award, essentially doing stuff like I've done with the Cupcake Brunch, being community focused, having those events. That's why I won that award. From going to events like the Black Business Show, which I'll get onto later, I was able to be featured in The Voice magazine in 2023. I think at the time I was 14 years old. So that was the first time that I really had, like, my name was going out there to the public. And it was essentially about kid entrepreneurs making waves in business. We have seen a real growth in the amount of young people that are pursuing business and not compromising academics for business. So I was featured in that. I've had the pleasure of going on BBC West Midlands twice, both in 2023 and in 2025. This was on UK Black, which is hosted by Marisha Stevenson, who is a well-known host and very good at what she does. And she invited me from, actually, the first time she invited me on BBC was from seeing the Voice magazine article. So it just shows you, it's a message to say that everything counts. Like, sometimes we may think that the little things don't matter, but the little things do matter because they get you onto bigger opportunities. And that's a relationship that I've continued to establish. As I've already spoken about the Cupcake Brunch, we've done it 2023, 2024, and 2025. And I've spoken about the growth with that as well, and it being the social arm of our business. It's an event that people enjoy. We've got a live band. We also give a platform to young performers and young artists so that they're able to get that exposure. There's so many people. I mean, I'm at school and we do have a really good performing arts department, but there's so many children that don't get that exposure to have that audience to essentially show their talent and what they really have to offer. So giving them that opportunity to display their talents, display what they're good at to an audience, it's just really amazing. And the next thing is B Radio, which I already spoke about. Phil Aldershaw hosting the Cupcake Brunch. Phil is an absolute legend. Love him in every way possible, shape, and form. He's also one of the co-founders of Birmingham Pride. So he is well known and well in his own right, just an amazing person. But he invited myself onto B&B radio, and we actually did a live tasting, which was really interesting, especially because, you know, when you're on radio, because nobody can see your face, you have to kind of be very over expressive. But he absolutely loved the cakes. We couldn't shut him up about it, so it was absolutely amazing. And as you can see, it's a picture of my mum and I. On the picture, she is, I mean, I'm only 17, guys, so I can't drive around, so my mum is like my personal chauffeur, and so much more. But she carries me everywhere that I need to go. And I had the pleasure of being on B&B radio twice and doing the live tasting twice. The next thing is the Black Business Show, which I want to take some time to speak about this because it just shows, I want to show you guys that every opportunity counts, every person that you interact and meet, that can open to a bigger door. So I want to give you guys a bit of a backstory. So I was invited to a business event, sorry, that was taking place. It took place in Birmingham, just on the outskirts of Birmingham. It was very small. It was probably about 10 business owners. We had a few people come in, maybe 50 people come in, maybe 50 to 100 people come in and, you know, go around. Luckily, I did sell everything off. One of the key things of that event was they had a bit of networking where we sat down in the hall, all the business owners, and we spoke to each other kind of about the opportunities that we had and different things. And there was this one lady, her name is Jennifer Housen, and she put her hand up and she said, I just have something to say. I've got an opportunity to go to the Black Business Show, and I just really feel like the need to bless somebody. Those are the exact words she used, to bless somebody with a stall. And nobody put their hand up on the opportunity. I remember my mum was sitting next to me and she was like, Zara, put your hand up. Zara, put your hand up. Like, this is a big opportunity. At the time, I knew nothing about the Black Business Show. So I was kind of just like, well, don't know anything about it. So I put my hand up and I said, you know what, I'll do it. Little did I know, the Birmingham Black Business Show is actually a really massive event. They actually get over 5,000 people to come to the event. And from then doing the event the next year, I know that the stalls are £500. And she gave me that opportunity to come to the Black Business Show for free, sell my cupcakes. And as I said, from being at the Black Business Show, I then was able to be on the Voice magazine. So it shows you that even in the small opportunities, with being in a crowd where there was only around 50 to 100 people, I did sell off, but it wasn't like a massive sale. From that, my business has only grown. So take the small moments and be grateful, be proud of those small moments, because there will be somebody that is going to come around and be like, you know what? I remember that young person that I saw at that event. They were really good. I want to give them an opportunity. I want to give them a chance. And because of that chance that I was given, that's something that I want to continue to give to other people. In the same year, 2023, after I'd gone to the Birmingham Black Business Show, Jennifer was so impressed with me and she actually invited me back to come to the London one, which is even bigger than the one in Birmingham. I think it's maybe double or triple the size. So you've gone from an event where it's expecting 5,000 people to an event where it's expecting like 15,000 people. And it took place in this massive hall in London. It was actually 2 floors. We had companies like Apple, BBC, all in that same arena, and Heaven's Delights was in that arena. Like, I felt so blessed in that moment. Words couldn't explain. I think I was 14, 15, and I was in the same room as some really big people. Now, talking about big people, I'm assuming that many of us, you know, we're entrepreneur based and we watch shows like Dragon's Den. So we know that Stephen Bartlett is on Dragon's Den. And if you look at that picture in the corner where it says Black Business Show 2023, I actually had the opportunity to meet Stephen Bartlett, but not just to meet Stephen Bartlett, but to also sell my cupcakes to him as well. So in that picture, it's a picture of me giving him the box of cupcakes that he bought off me. And it's so funny because he was actually being called to go onto the main stage to speak. And it was like a really odd interaction because you had like a security with him. And then you also had like the people saying like, you need to be on stage, you know, the time management people saying, you need to be on stage, you need to be on stage. And he was like, just give me 1 minute. I just want to speak to this young lady. And I was like, me? So it was a really, really fun experience. And to be honest, I wasn't, even though I was very entrepreneurial based, I wasn't catching up with the latest like Dragon's Den. So I didn't even know at the time that he was on Dragon's Den, but I did know he was quite big. I remember my dad was there and he was just kind of like, Sorry, you do realize that this guy is like massive, right? And it was only after the fact I realized, oh yeah, like that was Stephen Bartlett. But it's that whole thing of keeping your composure, sorry, staying professional, no matter who it is, because it will impress someone. You know, sometimes we get so like starstruck and we're like, oh my gosh, what to do? But just treat them like a normal person. And sometimes it impresses them more than you like bowing in their presence and like, oh my gosh, you're like the greatest of all time. Like sometimes when you just act normal, it is the best way. Able to have a conversation with him. He even gave me his email to be able to be in contact with him for mentorship. So it was a really amazing opportunity. Now the next thing is this is this year now. So obviously I took a break from my business for a bit just because I had my GCSEs. So that's between 2024 and 2025. And it's that main thing of you need to prioritize what's best in life. We're young people, we have our whole life ahead of us. And sometimes we have to get to that decision where we're prioritizing business, life, or studies. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you. Did something funny happen your end? We can still hear you, Zara.
Am I back?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
we can
okay.
hear
I don't know
you.
what happened
Maybe
there.
something
Okay.
happened with your Wi-Fi at your end, but you're
Oh,
fine this
oh,
end.
you just kicked me out of the meeting. I don't know why. Okay, so as long as
Oh,
I'm
okay.
back. Um, But as I was speaking about the fact that you need to prioritize different things in your life, your studies, your school, and family life as well. It's important to have a family life and to be able to spend time with your family. So after kind of my mocks had finished, year 10 mocks, I didn't actually go to the Black Business Show in 2025 just because it was my GCSE year. But I was honoured to win or to be runner-up to the Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2025, which is put on by Potential Unlock. I keep coming back to this thing of connections, guys. So from this, there's a picture of my mum and I, both in black and white. I was able to win that award, but there's a picture in the corner where you see I'm laughing my head off, and I'm next to a man called Perry. Now, as I spoke about, the charity that we supported last year was called the 21 Up movement, and I actually met Perry from that event at the at the Potential Unlock Awards evening, and we completely hit it off. Our values aligned, you know, once again helping young people, and even in those small moments, well, it wasn't really a small moment. I was up for an award, but even every moment can lead to something bigger, and then that from that we were able to have the biggest cupcake brunch that we've ever had, and that support was we made money from the raffle that we do every year, and that all proceeds went to the 21 Up movement. And Perry did give me an update recently about what they're doing with that money. And they're starting a new program, a new arts program to help young people and to have a bigger outreach for young people. So I'm just so happy that the money that we've raised has gone to an amazing cause. The next thing in September, so that was February, and then there's September. So you can see the little break that I took for my GCSEs. Was an award nomination from the GTX Awards in 2025. This was for Best Business. We did not leave with an award, but I think I did look glamorous, if I say so myself. And it was a great opportunity, once again, connections that I'm so grateful for. Now, we spoke about the cupcake brunch. Once again, I keep coming back to that as it is a really big part of our business. And I've signed the contract for the East Side rooms, sorry, East Side rooms, and we are expecting 450 guests. So we're now gone from expecting 250 guests to expecting 450 guests. And the people at East Side rooms, they are lovely, and I'm just so happy to be working with them and to continue to grow that event in the heart of Birmingham as being a Brummie myself, being a Birmingham girl. Now, the last thing is like the biggest thing that has ever happened to me my whole life, to be honest. And it's the main reason why I've called this PowerPoint from classroom to boardroom. So on the last day of my GCSEs, well, let's take it back a bit more. So I'm assuming all of you guys have done your GCSEs. You know that you have May half term where your exam, you kind of get that break in between your exams. So you're in school, then you have the break and then you go on study leave, but you still have to come back to school during the study leave for your exams. So during that, I got a WhatsApp message saying, I think you should enter this. It was a link. It was for the Peter Jones Foundation. Now, as I said, I'm not the biggest Dragon's Den fan. So as I already told you guys, Stephen Bartlett, I was like, oh yeah, after I realized, yeah, it was him. And I don't know why, when it said Peter Jones, it didn't click in my head that it's Peter Jones from Dragon's Den. I just thought, you know what, Peter Jones, it's just like a generic name. It could be anyone, but Peter Jones had a foundation. So I entered it, still not knowing that this was like the Peter Jones. Did a pitch, did a video, had to be like about 3 to 4 minutes long, and then had to write a 500 word like essay kind of why I thought that Heaven's Light should go through to the competition. Essentially, you would win some money. So then now on the last day of my GCSE, I had my Spanish exam, and my mum and I legged it to town to go and pitch in front of 4 people. This was the regional final for the West Midlands. Then we waited, and I think it was a week after. It wasn't even a week after. It was actually quite a while after because I was actually in America when I found out. She did say it would be a week, but it was more like a month. I then randomly checked my emails. I mean, I was on a different time zone, so I don't even know why I checked my emails at that point. And I checked my emails and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've got through. So I got through to the national final, and that is where I would be pitching to Peter Jones himself and 4 other individuals. In October, now I'm back at school in year 12 in sixth form. I then had the pleasure of going to Peter Jones' headquarters and pitching in front of him, had a nice little lunch, and was able to be in the room with the 5 other national finalists. So there's only 5 of us in the country this year that have the opportunity to pitch to Peter Jones, and I was one of those people. First of all, guys, Peter Jones is really tall, but I'm also quite tall. So you've got the picture down there. I'm also quite tall. I've got my heels on. But he is like really tall, but he's honestly one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's so humble. Like you wouldn't think that he's like this rich person. He's honestly so humble. I remember when we went to go take the picture, because the way the day worked was you had kind of like mentorship with the person who won last year. Her name was Mia Maddock. And then we're being called up one by one to go and pitch. I was fourth out of the 6 people. So I kind of had time, had lunch, kind of relaxed, and then kind of got into the zone. And before all of that, right after we had lunch, we then went up. This is like the first time I've ever seen Peter Jones in person. We went up and we had a picture with him. And I kid you not, I was so excited. Actually, like poker face on in the room. But as soon as I came off, I was like, missing my mum was like, Mum, Peter Jones spoke to me. She was like, what did you say? What did he say? I said, he said, move down for a picture. Like, I'm like, he spoke to me. Like, she found it absolutely hilarious. But I was just like so starstruck that Peter Jones actually spoke to me. And then I went in and did my pitch, and what Peter Jones actually said to me was that I should be really proud of myself at 16, what I was doing. I was 16 at the time, now 17. I should be really proud of myself, and that my school should also be really proud of me. And even though I did not walk away with the national title, I did walk away with my regional title. So I'm the proud NEOY West Midlands winner 2025. And that picture next at the bottom where it says picture my business to Peter Jones, that is at the finals where I got my award and I received my grant. And one of the best things out of that opportunity is that even though I may not have won the national title, I'm actually still in the process of receiving mentorship from the Peter Jones Foundation. So that is a relationship that is continued to grow and continue to build. And I'm so grateful to Rupi and the team, Rupi and Sam and the team who continue to mentor me and continue to call and send emails, and also continue to send people in my direction to mentor them as well. So it's just a beautiful opportunity. And on to the next slide, please. So I want to give you guys some advice before you guys have your questions. I want to give you guys some advice. So my first tip is to master consistency before creativity. Being a baker myself, and many times we want to try what the trend is, try what the latest thing is. But if you have your niche, if you have what you are good at, you have your bestseller, clients will come to you for that. There's no point being this person who is mediocre in everything. Why not be an expert in that one thing, and people will come running after you? Price for profit, not popularity. There are actually many pricing apps out there. If you just search business pricing apps in App Store or in the Google, I don't know what the Google Store one is. Is it Google Store? I think it is. I'm not an Android user, guys. But if you search business pricing in there, there are actually many apps that will come up, many free ones as well, how to actually price products that you sell. I know there's many that are specific to like food wise. So essentially what it will do actually is put in your ingredients, you put in where you get them from, if it's Sainsbury's, let's say it's £3 for flour, which I'm pretty sure it's not, but let's say it's £3 for flour. Um, you put that in, you put how much of that you're using, and it will essentially break everything down and say, let's say in a batch for 12 cupcakes, you're using something like 12p's worth of flour. It would then calculate everything in your ingredients list. You then put what you want to charge for your time. If it's 20% you want to charge for your time, 20% that you want to charge for profit, and then how much of overhead cost. And it will give you what you should actually be charging for the cupcakes to make the profit that you want and to also be able to pay yourself. Um, when you're starting out, it's very easy because I mean, I started out in my home kitchen, and when you're starting out, it's very easy to be like, you know, mom and dad are paying the bills. But I got to that point where my dad was paying the bills and I was giving him money back for what I was then using, the electricity I was using, the water I was using, because it's important to think about those things. Because then when you move away from that setting and that environment, it's just going to be you're going to be shocked. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, like all that time I was like underselling myself. And then not only is it a shock to yourself, it's also a shock to your client base as well, because then they'll be like, well, last year you were only charging £2. What is this big like £5 increase? Which I know with inflation that's happened a lot. But when you have that client base, you want to kind of slowly carry them with you. I mean, when we look at inflation, we see now there's been that gradual rise. It hasn't been that big shock in price. So I remember the times that chocolate used to be £1. Why do I remember that? Because I used to walk home and every time go into Nissa Local and get a chocolate. But chocolate is now £1.75. £1.75 pence, sorry. So you see that gradual increase, but it wasn't just over one day. So also go with inflation as well. Don't just Everyone is feeling inflation, feeling the burn of inflation. Don't be afraid to have to rise that cost because of inflation. Systems beat talent. It's very easy to try and say, I can do everything myself. I'm saying this because I'm someone who says that a lot. I'm someone who thinks alone a lot and tries to do everything themselves. Even being head girl at my school is something that I'm having to learn. It's not that I'm not a team player, but it's that if you have that team, utilize that team. If you have those resources, utilize those resources, because not only are you saving yourself time, but you're saving yourself stress. Stress is a real thing, especially being an academic, having to think about academics, having to think about your business. If you can save yourself time for yourself, why not do that? Social media is your shop window. So as Caroline spoke about before, that thing of having that online platform, it's really important. Many places now, they don't need a store to be able to be effective. And that's like myself. I don't actually need a bakery store in a location to be effective. Why is that? Because that's overhead costs that I essentially don't need. I'm then having to pay someone to have that space where I could literally just bake in the kitchen that I have and sell from that. It makes it so much easier when you know that you can get covered, you can have that your food and hygiene certificate and all those things and do it in the comfort of your own home and things like that. It does make sense. And a balanced burnout with boundaries. This is something that I've had to learn. This is something that my parents have helped me with, and it's something that I really want to encourage you guys about. I don't take every order. There's some orders that I've had that, first of all, I've been on holiday and I need to protect my holiday time. I've had exams at school. I need to protect that time also. And sometimes I just want to have a bit of fun. Sometimes I want to go to a restaurant, I want to chillax, I want to put on a movie because at the end of the day, I'm 17 and I've got so much life to live. And I don't want to kill and burn myself out now when there's so much life that's left in me because money always comes and goes, doesn't it? So it's a real thing. Put that timetable together, structure your life. Don't when you're in the when it starts, there's like this buzz and you feel so excited. You feel like, you know what, I'm going places and you feel like you should take every order. You feel like you're doing yourself injustice if you don't take every order. But the truth is, orders will come. Once you get your name out there, once people know who you are, orders will come. And they also understand the fact that your age, you cannot take every order. You have a life, you cannot take every order, which is why most times when people send you a message, they don't say, I need a cake. They say, do you have availability? It's in the message that they understand there is the possibility that you can't take that order. So it's those little things where don't guilt trip yourself. You deserve that time to yourself. You deserve me time. So I've come to the end of my PowerPoint, just a brief overview of what Heaven's Delights is about, who I am, and some of the key tips that I have. And if you guys have any questions or anything that you want to ask, or do feel free, put them in the chat. I know that Carolyn will also be asking me some questions as well. So I look forward to your questions.
Oh, thank you, Zara. That was amazing. I'm just in awe of everything that you've achieved over the last few years. I'll just stop sharing. So yeah, I suppose. Just so I'll ask so guys, if you've got questions, either come off, off mute and put your cameras on, or pop the questions in the chat. In the meantime, I'll just ask a couple of questions of Zara, and that might help you think of some more questions as well. So I suppose, Zara, you started at such a young age, so I was quite interested in, what motivated you to start the business back in 2020. Is it something that you always wanted to work for yourself, and what kind of influences did you have back then?
So one of the things that motivated me, 2020, we all know, was COVID.
Mhm.
And sitting alone at 11 years old, I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do. I was in year 6 at the time, so I was going into a new chapter of my life. Both of my parents are engineers, and I knew that wasn't for me. And I do want to go into medicine, but I always just thought about the fact that I want to start making my own money. Like, I don't want to be reliant on my parents forever. So that was one of the main motivations behind that. Then because we were online, we were having lessons online, each week we had like an extracurricular activity that we were set by our teacher. And one of them was to do a business plan. And that was like the real kickoff and start off to say, do you know what? If I do this, give it to my teacher. If he thinks it's good, then I'll have the guts to present it to my mom. So I did it. I got my mum to help me, of course, but I knew she would want a proper pitch when I was presenting it to her to go forward. So I did it, and then I sent it to my teacher. He then said it was pretty incredible. So I was like, okay, that's given me some confidence to, go and present it to my mom, because mom was the first person to invest in my business, and she has always been that support in my business for both of my parents. And from that, I then presented it to my mom and said, Mom, this is what I want to do. I think I have the potential to do it. I had always been baking from the age of 7 as well. So baking was always that thing that was kind of in my back pocket, and I knew that I could make money from baking. The reason why I knew that is because I don't know if this is like a plan. You know how you normally say that everything kind of works out in the future or whatever when stuff happens. So I've had 2 babysitters in my whole life, and both of them were actually bakers. So both of them did childminding and actually baking, both times running their own businesses. So even seeing that, being around at their houses and seeing them having orders to do from like a really young age, I think also seeing that inspiration. Sometimes we don't think that by seeing those people in our life, they'll influence us. But looking back now, I can definitely see where that influenced me to be a baker and to pursue my own business, and seeing that they had passions and they've also gone to pursue that, because neither of my parents are entrepreneurs, they're both engineers. But seeing that influence in my life, that there are people in my life who are seeking after their goal and juggling multiple things at once, but doing it so excellently, inspired me to then say, do you know what, I can do this as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And how's the business evolved? Obviously, when you were 11, I imagine it's looking very different today. So how's it evolved? And sort of how did you, because I think there's quite a lot of, it's quite competitive, isn't it? The sort of industry you're in. So how did you, what makes you different? How did you cut through the noise and attract your customers?
So the way that we've evolved is our menu has evolved. So we started with 4 flavors. We started with vanilla, chocolate, red velvet, and lemon. And until I mastered those are the 4 flavors that I would only offer. But
Mhm.
then continue to grow. So we offer like an Earl Grey cupcake and a coffee cupcake. And people come to us for those unique flavors, for those unique flavor combinations as well. And I think one of the things that sets us apart is that there are many bakers who kind of offer a specific things. They'll be like, you can only have red velvet with cream cheese, while we give our clients that variation where they can have red velvet with maybe like a vanilla icing. Of course, we steer them in the right direction if we think that's going to be totally wrong. Like I have had like a client come to me and say, yeah, they think they want like chocolate with, I don't know, like lemon, but also a mix of like a mint. I can't remember. It was like very confusing what she was trying to
Yeah.
say. And I was just like, I don't think that's the best way to go. And it was for about like an event of like 500 people. I was like, I don't think 500 people are going to enjoy that one particular taste that you have.
Yeah. You must be
But
protecting your brand, mustn't you? You don't want
yeah, of
500
course,
people
because
to
then
think that.
when my business cards go out there, they'll be like, oh, she really
Yeah.
approved this. But it's also that thing of looking at facts and statistics. So there's a facts and statistic that says 75% of customers can't find bakery brands that match with their values and what they want essentially. So as I spoke about before, we've had clients who said that they want like organic eggs within their things and we've catered to that. So it's really important that you listen to your customer. There's a lot of businesses that don't listen to what their clients want, and also offering that quality again and again and that consistency. Sometimes it can be very like on and off, but I think that's what makes Heaven's Delights different. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it so you have your own website now, but do you early on was it kind of more through word of mouth and then onto sort of social media?
Yeah, it was very much through word of mouth and going to
Mm.
events, as I spoke about before. So
Yeah.
I used to go to a lot of fairs, a lot of business fairs all the time. I still do, but not as
Mm.
many as I went to. I went to a lot of festivals, um, to like business fairs inside, business fairs outside, going around putting myself out there. And that's really where it all started. And then from that, I would get bigger events, going to stuff like the Black Business Show. And then that's where I unlocked that corporate
Mhm.
market. And if that's the way that it's just continued to grow, yeah.
Yeah. Is it so what's your kind of split now between sort of the B2B corporate side and your personal customers?
I would say it's pretty much an equal split. We do have
Yeah.
a lot of corporate orders, but we also do still have like our birthdays, our weddings, our
Mhm.
baby showers. So yeah, I'd say that it's an equal split, yeah.
Yeah. And have you seen kind of trends change over the time as well? And do you sort of follow, what's trending, or do you try and get ahead of what's trending at any
I
given
think with
time?
the bakery industry, there are a lot of trends, there are a lot of things that you see on your page that you're like, oh,
Mhm.
that's lovely. But for me, I always like to test out the waters before I try anything. So for a long time, Russian piping tips when they came out, essentially a Russian piping tip is like it gives a really interesting floral design, like a 3D flower.
Yeah.
And they've been out for a good while. I want to say about 3 years before I actually decided that that's something that I want to actually dive into. So it was only like I think last year, the end of last year, I actually went and bought myself my own Russian piping tips, just
Hmm.
because you want to test out the waters to see if that trend does really stand the test of time, really, before you continue to dive into that. Because first of all, you can be sending mixed messages to your client base that you actually don't know what you're doing. And before I want ever offer anything, I make sure I'm the expert in it. So the expert in how it's done, the expert in the type of buttercream that you have to use to do it, because you never want that your quality then fails just because you were following a trend. So yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I think, so you started out um in your mom and dad's house in their kitchen, and but now you've got your own kitchens that you run everything out of. You
Yeah,
scaled so that's the way for you to go.
yeah, so when we have like, well, what we're planning to do is when we have like our larger event, like the cupcake brunch, we will then use bigger kitchen spaces to be able to have the volunteers to come and to work in a space, and then also trying to choose a kitchen close to the location. So just like renting out kitchens, it's something that you can do, guys, and I really do advise everyone to try and do that, to rent out kitchens, to be able, for example, if you now have like an event in Manchester, if you have like a big event, or if you know that you've got a week in Manchester, you can then rent a kitchen in Manchester to be able to fill your orders and complete your orders, and then just simply drop them off instead of actually having to do that long journey along the motorway with these fully done cakes. Anything could go wrong, and then now you're able to just deliver them or even set up at the event.
Sure, sure. And you mentioned about some clients wanting sort of particular type or organic produce and that type of thing. In general, what's your sort of thoughts on kind of like ethical sourcing and maybe sort of trying to reduce waste and things, just thinking about sort of climate change?
Yeah, so all of our packaging is recyclable. That's something that I'm really passionate about. I actually
Mhm.
did GCSE geography, so the environment is. I chose it over history. I just found history a bit boring. I'm sorry if there's anyone on here who loves history, but all of our packaging is recyclable, and we do try to encourage stuff where, like, we know the farmers are being paid equally what they deserved. So just ensuring that where we buy our products from, so sometimes we will buy our products in bulk to be able to ensure that it's better for us. And sometimes that can actually be sustainable because you're cutting down on like the delivery driver having to drive to your house and all of the fuels that essentially emits into the environment. So even in those little things, you may think they're small and they're not making a difference, but they are making a difference to the environment that we live into. And being so young, and as I keep saying, I've got so much life to live. I'd hate that in 50 years, the world that I'm living in is just the environment is just rubbish to live in, and it's not a place that I'd love to live in. So making sure that my small contribution matters.
Definitely. No, that's really good to hear. So we're coming towards the end now, I think. So maybe let me have a quick look. What can you tell us a little bit about what the your vision for the future is going to be? And obviously we know that you're going to go and study. And also I think it's very interesting you've talked about the importance of I guess it's sort of well-being, isn't it? And not overcommitting yourself
Yeah.
when you've got different things that's happening in your life. But what would you say at this present time is kind of your vision for the future?
So one of the big things that I want to do is with the Cupcake Branch has been running for 4 years now in Birmingham, and one of my biggest goals, I've spoken about this many times, is to have a Cupcake Branch globally. So starting with the UK first. So our next location that we're targeting is London, and then from that to be able to go in Europe, so maybe do a Cupcake Branch Spain or Cupcake Branch France, and then from that go to America and do a Cupcake Branch, and so that it is something that is done worldwide. Obviously, continue to be sourcing cupcakes to our clients, but also to be in retail as well. So to have our shops in companies, do you know, like you have Selfridges that have different
Mm.
brands of everything, to have Heaven's Delights products within that as well, and to be in different stores. It's something that we've already started, as I spoke about before, being in restaurants and partnering with in Talk of the Town, which is in Smethwick. We were in there, our baked goods were in there and were sold, but continue to do that with other companies and with other clients would be amazing.
And do you see then you see the business continuing? Do you think you potentially would take a step back and maybe somebody else will,
Yeah,
whilst you're
so
heavy in studies?
because I, of course, want to do medicine, which I know is a very competitive course, sorry,
Mhm.
and a very demanding course as well, to get to the point where I'm able to build that team. I think if it gets to the point, to honest, as in myself, I do think that there are other businesses within me. I don't think Heaven's Delights is the only business that I will ever have. But
Mhm.
to get to the point where if it grows to the point where I think, do you know, I can step away from this and I can sell it and get some money off that to even start up another company, that is something that I'm very much open to the idea of doing. But you know, Heaven's Delights will always be my little baby, and I always have a soft spot for Heaven's Delights. So we'll just see what the future holds.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's probably a good point to call it to a close. So yeah, Zara, just thank you so much. Can't thank you enough for coming along and talking to us. And obviously we have recorded it, so we'll share it. We do get quite a lot of our students who are interested in kind of food, different types of food businesses, because we do get a lot of international students here, and they want to perhaps maybe bring their food to the UK. So I think this is going to be
Yeah,
super helpful for them. And yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for you. I definitely think you're one to watch. I was going to say
oh,
for the
thank
future, but
you.
you're one to watch right now, to be honest. Just
Thank
such an
you.
inspiration. And I'm going to put the 12th of September in my diary, so make
Yes,
sure I come
please do.
along
Can't
and
wait to see all of you.
yeah, come along for the brunch. That would be fantastic. Yeah, so everybody on the call, I hope you enjoyed it, and I think there were so many lessons learned there. I was jotting some things down. You say, I think it's sort of one of the things you said was just put your hand up and sort of take those small moments, take those opportunities. I just think that's a really good life lesson for all of us. So
Yeah,
yeah, I wish you all the best with your sort of forthcoming studies, and we'll
thank
keep
you.
keep an eye on where you go from here.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity.
Great.
I'm so grateful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.